I hated Mannish water when I was little. For me, it was always associated with deaths. I didn't like the gaminess, and eating organs was a bit weird for me. I would see people drink it at gatherings and enjoy it so much, and I couldn't understand why. I have a core memory from when I was about 8 or 9 years old, when my grandmother passed and the whole family came together to slaughter and prepare goats. Some of the meat was used for curry goats, and everything else went into a big pot of Mannish water. It was a very melancholic time because I spent a lot of time with my grandmother while she was alive, whether that was on her farm, helping her clean coffee to roast, or pounding something in her mortar. It was a sad time for me, but I remember the big old pot of goat head and belly soup boiling away on the wood fire, while my uncles laughed and drank bottle after bottle of white rum. At that time, I didn't really understand it. I just knew that that's what happened when people died. I'm a lot older now, so I want to go through it properly and make a real pot of Mannish water. It's popular today to make Mannish water with just goat head and belly, but traditionally, it wasn't defined that narrowly. It was all the non-muscle meat that wasn't used for curry goat. So that's the head, the feet, the intestines, and other organs, especially the testicles, because almost every time it was a ram goat. These ingredients are said to boost male strength and libido. It's considered a strong aphrodisiac. In a way, the idea is that you take on the qualities associated with the ram goat itself: aggression, fertility, and dominance. That brings us to why it's called Mannish water. In Jamaica, Mannish just means masculine, so it's literally a masculine soup. It's supposed to build stamina and vitality. Growing up, I remember younger girls being discouraged from drinking it. It's said to make them more mannish, more aggressive, and more forward. But that isn't consistent. There are also songs that mention ram goat liver going into Mannish water and how it make your daughter walk and talk. So I'm going to start with about 2 pounds of goat head and feet and about 2 pounds of goat belly. My butcher already chopped these up for me. The head and feet are usually charred over wood fire to remove any remaining hair. I actually remember my folks showing me how to do this growing up. That fire wasn't just practical, it leaves a slight smokiness on the surface that carries through into the soup later. Before anything else, I'm going to rinse everything in a vinegar solution. That helps clean the meat properly and removes anything it might have picked up during butchering. Now, the belly is usually where things get a bit more involved. This is mostly stomach, and even though the butcher has already done the basic cleaning and removed the contents, I still like to go over it myself. I'm going to add a few generous sprinkles of salt and really work it into the meat, almost massaging it in. Then a few splashes of vinegar as well. That helps pull out any remaining slime and gives it a much cleaner taste later on. After that, I'll rinse it, then blanch everything in boiling water. This step is important. It helps remove any final impurities and firms up the meat, which makes it easier to cut and handle before it goes into the soup pot. Back in the day, all of this would have been done a day or two before the big event: the butchering, the cleaning, and the prep. It's always interesting watching the intestines get clean and the level of care and skill involved. Head and belly ready, so let's cook. For this recipe, I need my biggest pot. Head and belly going first. These take about the same amount of time to cook. I'm covering that with about a gallon and a half of water. Let that come up to a simmer for a bit. When it starts cooking, you'll see some scum rise to the top. That's just proteins and impurities releasing from the meat. I skim that off as it comes up. On the big day, this soup was the first pot to go on the fire. It was simmered for a couple hours with the chef making adjustments up to the very end to get the flavor just right. Speaking of flavor, we can now start to build that base with some fresh aromatics. A cup of sliced onion goes in, a whole head of garlic, sliced, a cup of diced carrot, a teaspoon of pimento or allspice, half a sliced scotchy for heat, 3 stalks of chopped scallion, and 3 bay leaves. It's already smelling good at this point. I'm getting a whiff of gaminess. I don't think this head and belly is from a ram goat because the rams are usually a lot gamier. That's normal. And I understand more now that's actually what you want for a proper pot of Mannish water. That's going to simmer for about 1 to 2 hours depending on how tender the meat is. You don't rush this part. You just let it do what it needs to do. I almost forgot. A piece of smashed ginger that just sits in the pot and infuses into the soup as it cooks. I started noticing something as I got older. I didn't stop associating Mannish water with death. If anything, it became more consistent. Growing older means you lose loved ones. By the time I was in my late teens, I wasn't reacting to it the same way though. It was the same pattern, different people, but the same setup. Goats being prepared, pots on the fire bubbling, people going through the motions. I was just there watching it happen again. I still didn't really like Mannish water at that stage. That didn't really change. Smell, the texture, the idea of it, it stayed the same for me. I just got used to being around it. A pot of Mannish water on the fire tells you what kind of day it is. And I started drinking it more often at that point. You're at a wake or funeral and someone hands you a cup. You take it. Sometimes you drink it, sometimes you don't think about it. You're just there with it while everything else is happening. And the rum is always there too. Moving around, people passing it. It just became part of those days. And that's just how it was. I think we can now check in back on our pot. The meat is now tender, about an hour and a half in. This is the point where it's ready for everything else to go in. Now, you can pressure cook it to speed up the cook time, but I like something about the slower process. Ground provisions are a key part of most Jamaican soups, and Mannish water is no exception. A wide variety of veggies go into Mannish water. It just boils down to what's available at the time. 1 cup diced potato, 1 cup diced pumpkin. You could use a lot more for a more vibrantly yellow Mannish water, but I think this version is closer to what I grew up on. 1 cup of diced chocho, a common soup staple. It cooks down tender while soaking up the flavor of the soup. 1 cup diced yam. Green banana is a big staple in Mannish water. It has to be very young with the skin on. It adds a slight bitter element that creates depth and balance out the richer elements in this dish. I'm using about 1.5 cups. You don't want to overdo it because it can make the soup bitter. And finally, green breadfruit. That doesn't look too good because it's been in my fridge for a few days. It's discolored but it's still good. I'm going to use half of that. That's about 1.5 cups diced. Our soup is coming together really well, but we can't forget that key ingredient, spinners. Spinners are simple, about 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Add water gradually and mix until it comes together into a dough. To make the spinners, take a small piece and roll it between your palms. That's it. They don't take very long to cook, so these go in right at the end. You can mix it up and make different shapes if you want. Nothing wrong with that. That's coming together nicely. Our soup is getting there, so it's now time to talk about soup mixes. Soup mixes are a staple in Jamaican soups. They add extra umami, and those concentrated dehydrated spices layering a lot of flavor. Not everyone is a fan of them for different reasons, but in Jamaica they're standard. A chicken soup mix is like the all-purpose one, but you can also find specific mixes for different soups. Fish tea mix for fish tea, or relatively recently, ram goat mix for Mannish water. No conversation about Jamaican soup is complete without talking about soup mixes, but you can leave them out if you want. Use a broth base you like, bouillon cubes, or just make a stronger stock and lean more into your aromatics. This recipe gives you a lot of room to adjust it to your preferences. For my pot, I'm using 1 pack of chicken soup mix and 1 pack of ram goat soup mix. They usually come with noodles, but I like to strain those out. The noodles will thicken the soup, and I don't want that for Mannish water. So now we re-season for some freshness. I finally got some red scallion. Growing up, that's the only scallion I knew, but it's harder to find now, at least for me. That's 3 whole stalk and I'm using all of it. 1 whole onion slice, scotch bonnet. Usually I leave it whole so it adds flavor without too much heat, but this is a big pot and I want a proper kick. I'm slicing half of it. That aroma is so good. Fresh thyme, because dry thyme is a scam. I'm just going to tie this up so it's easier to remove later. And finally, a few cloves of chopped garlic. All of these are going to elevate the soup and add back some freshness for a full and complete taste. That smells incredible. It's almost there. Those flavors just need a little time to come together. While that's finishing, I'll taste and adjust. Salt if it needs it. Bear in mind that the soup mixes already have salt in them. And some freshly ground black pepper. That's a nice finish of our soups. That's smelling so good. Fresh herbs and spices over deeply flavorful broth. Everything is pretty much there at this point. But there's one more thing I've been hinting at this whole time. The rum. White rum has a place in all of this. You see it at grave diggings, funerals, nine nights. People pour it out for those that passed. White rum is both an offering and a cleanser. And it usually sits right next to Mannish water. Usually in all the same places at the same time. When we curry goat, we might add a little rum, but it shows up more naturally here. So I'm adding a big splash of white rum. I know people who used to mix half rum, half Mannish water. Mannish water is already drinking food, but using it to chase rum is something else. The gaminess of the soup works perfectly with it. That is incredible. I really like that. Simmering will cook off the alcohol, so if you want it more forward, you can add it right at the end. No, this is a proper pot of Mannish water. Made in much the same way it's been done for a long time. This is a soup that's usually on the thinner side. That's the water in Mannish water. Wow, that smells incredible. Deep flavor, nicely spiced, and it still has that bit of gaminess that people who love Mannish water look for. That is very delicious. But to be honest, even after all that, it's still not my favorite soup. But I get it now. I understand it a bit deeper. I appreciate Mannish water, not so much for the taste, but for what it represents. I see those moments in a different way now. The rum, the laughter, all of it. I always associated it with death, but it's always been more than that. Growing older, losing people, you find yourself at these gatherings more often. And more often than not, you have a cup of Mannish water in your hand. And you realize it's not really about mourning, it's about celebration. Celebrating a life well lived. It might be a sad moment, someone just passed, but that soothing cup of soup in your hand remind you of life and the people still here with you. So whether or not you love the taste of Mannish water, you call to the chef and you ask for another cup.